Watching. Hi, I'm Hillary Holstenbach, and welcome to episode 141 of Art This Week. In this episode, we visit the Modern. I speak with Michael Auping about their exhibition, Lucian Freud, Portraits. Now for Art This Week. I'm here with Michael Auping, the chief curator of the Modern and also curator of the Lucian Freud show, which is Portraits of Lucian Freud. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So tell me a little bit about Lucian Freud, like what makes him such a monumental painter?
Well, Lucian died just last year, just before his 89th birthday. He had been painting for over 7 decades. That's unusual in itself. What makes it more unusual is that in an era of abstract painting that we have experienced since the Second World War, Lucian painted people. He only painted portraits, and he painted them for 70 years. And the other thing that distinguishes him is the intensity with which he approached portraiture. It wasn't about making people look pretty. It wasn't about making people look bad. It was really painting people as they are. And I think he felt a need to be real in a very real way. So I think that distinguishes him. He wasn't about painting royalty as royalty. He took very few commissions, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Because he was such a realist, it's just not something you do to take money from someone and then paint them as they really look.
Right.
So he's really not a kind of traditional portrait painter. He's much more of a realist. But this is a visual biography of his life. These are people that came and went in Lucian's life. And he lived what the British call a rather dodgy existence. I mean, there were a lot of women in and out of his life. He was a late night man. He gambled a lot. He lost a lot of money. Yes, he painted the Queen, and yes, he knew a number of criminals. So he had a very colorful life, and you see this life in these portraits.
Tell me about the process of getting this exhibition together. I understand there's 90 paintings?
Approximately 90 paintings in the exhibition from private and public collections around the world. These are very valuable paintings. It was an arduous task getting people to agree to loan. There are only 2 stops for the show. Only 2 venues, London and Fort Worth, the 2 great cities of the world. But it was difficult in the sense that Lucian passed away right before the opening in London. And the value of an artist's paintings often skyrockets after their death. So it was an expensive show to do, let's put it that way.
Well, we're here in front of Leigh Bowery, a famous performance artist. Could you tell me a little bit about this work?
Well, Lucian met Leigh Bowery at an opening at Anthony Dauphin Gallery many years ago. And Lucian was always looking around for interesting people to paint. And he struck up a conversation with him and asked him if he'd be interested in sitting for a painting. And Bowery said, sure. I'll do it. So they set up a date, and he came to the studio, and Lucian told me that he opened the door, Bowery came in, immediately stripped all his clothes off and said, where do I sit? So it was Bowery's idea to do the nudes, not Lucian's, but Lucian, I think, was happy about that because to a great extent, portraiture is about skin. Well, the way you get more skin into a painting is to paint a nude. So in Lucian's mind, a nude is the most complete portrait. And he often said that the people who have clothes on in my paintings are simply nudes with clothes on. Which I'm not quite sure what he meant by that. But.
Tell me a little bit about your involvement in this and what it was like developing a personal relationship with Freud.
Well, I'd always wanted to meet Freud, and this was my reason to do it. I really, I've met a lot of artists throughout my 40-year career, young ones, older ones, but here was a man in his 80s who'd been painting since the 40s, who'd seen a lot come and a lot go, and I thought, this is someone I want to hang around with, learn some things from. And art today has become so much a part of the entertainment industry, really. And it's become very fashionable. You see Damien Hirst, at a fashion shoot. You see,
Right.
it's all part of a larger entertainment industry. And here I was going to visit a man who stayed in his house most of the day, doing paintings in the morning and paintings in the evening, and would go out for lunch and go out for dinner, completely dedicated to this idea of painting people. And so I was fascinated by it, and I was very nervous to meet him. We got along fine. I really had to check my anxiousness and egos at the door and just let him be himself. And it worked out great, and I'm just glad that it did. And as it turns out, I did a series of interviews with Lucian. He never liked to talk about his work. He felt the work should speak for itself. I don't want to put a bunch of words over my paintings for you to read my paintings with.
Right.
So I did a series of interviews, and he approved them. But I think he knew he was coming to the end.
Yeah.
And this was a chance for him to say, well, this is what I think. So it was a great experience for me. That's all I could say. I hope it is for the people who come to see the show.
Well, people will get a chance to read these interviews. There's a book or a catalog accompanying
There is.
the
There's
exhibition.
a book that accompanies the exhibition, and they are all in that book, along with a number of essays.
We want to thank Michael for speaking with us. The exhibition is on view through October 28th. More information on the exhibition in the museum can be found at themodern.org. That's it for Art This Week. Thanks for watching.
I still got your Polaroid.